What's going on, everyone? It's JDC here. Today we're talking about why the Toronto Raptors have one of the brightest futures in the NBA and why I see them being in the playoff picture within the next few years. So, if you guys what you see, I do NBA content here, do a little bit of Rockets, mostly Rockets, but I also do some other NBA stuff, Lakers, Nets. You know what it is. So, if you guys what you see, if you guys like what you see, drop like the below, press that button. We'd really appreciate it. Let's get into the video. So, the Toronto Raptors, they're already pretty young as they are now, with the newest addition of Precious Achiuwa being 21 years old, with Scottie Barnes being 20 years old too, their 4th overall pick in the 2021 NBA draft. This team is very young, and honestly has a lot of promise, with obviously Malachi Flynn being 23 years old. That was their last rookie before Scottie Barnes. Gary Trent in the CJ McCollum trade, which was absolutely great for them. Gary Trent, 22 years old. They also got people like Pascal Siakam and Fred VanVleet, who quite honestly will be the leaders for this team moving forward. And they also got people like basically Chris Boucher, who's 28 years old, OG Anunoby, who's 24. They got Delano Banton, who honestly I didn't really know too much about when he got drafted, but he didn't look too bad in the summer league. I'm not gonna lie, he didn't look too bad. Didn't look too great. Pretty average. They also got Ken Birch, who's 28 years old. So this Raptors team is definitely really young, but also shows a lot of promise because a lot of people on this roster are very good. Precious Achiuwa, definitely an underrated forward for the Raptors, and honestly could be a very good piece for them in the future because his playing ability is absolutely underrated for the type of caliber player he is, especially in the summer league. Now I will say, obviously, it's the summer league, doesn't really count for too much. But for what it's worth, Precious Achiuwa was actually balling in the summer league. And same thing with overseas too. So, over the season, last season, he did average 5 points per game, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, and only 12 minutes in the whole season. So, Precious Achiuwa didn't really get too much playing time on the Heat because he was playing behind people like Jimmy Butler, Trevor Ariza, Bam Adebayo. Wasn't getting too many minutes off the bench. So I see this as an opportunity for Precious Achiuwa to really thrive in Toronto because there aren't really too many forwards. Obviously, Pascal Siakam and Ken Birch, they're obviously starting over him. And then Chris Boucher off the bench too. But I don't know, man. Precious Achiuwa, I definitely see a lot of potential in him to become someone that honestly could be a defensive player of the year. Maybe even all defensive first or second team, depending on if he gets the minutes and how he plays, because he did shoot 54% from the field, which is pretty great for only 12 minutes. So honestly, Precious Achiuwa, definitely one of their better additions to the team. Same thing with Scottie Barnes, who was absolutely electrifying for the summer league. Honestly, Scottie Barnes, he definitely screams all defensive first / defensive player of the year player to me too. He just does everything on the court, all the little things on the court. His only weakness is shooting, which can honestly be fixed, but he's only 20 years old, so he can fix it in the time that he needs to. Just gotta work on the game, but his overall game is absolutely phenomenal. I like Scottie Barnes a lot. His defensive game is absolutely underrated too. So Precious Achiuwa and Scottie Barnes, those are two very underrated defenders. Adding in OG Anunoby, who's already a very great defender too. So he did average 16 points per game, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists over the season. I definitely like OG Anunoby. That's a really deadly lineup too, just to think about that. Precious Achiuwa, OG Anunoby, Scottie Barnes, Pascal Siakam, maybe Fred VanVleet, who is a pretty decent perimeter defender. Nothing too great because he is 6'1", 197 pounds, but he definitely can play some perimeter defense. Adding in Pascal Siakam, who's a pretty great defender in himself, OG Anunoby, Scottie Barnes, Precious Achiuwa, and we're talking about a very great lineup right there. You can run the small ball 5 with Pascal Siakam. He is 6'9", so it'd be very small ball, kind of like a PJ Tucker, not really, a little bit taller than that, but I definitely see it as being a very great defensive lineup. Maybe adding Chris Boucher there, who's 6'9" too. And honestly, we're talking about a very great defensive team right here. I think the Raptors could definitely get up to a top 10 defensive team or defensive rating next season, depending on how these guys play defense, because I feel like this is a very underrated defensive team. I think it is. With Malachi Flynn also here, Goran Dragic, Sam Dekker. There's a lot of dogs on this team, Stanley Johnson. There's a lot of very underrated talent on this team. With obviously losing Kyle Lowry in the offseason, this team is it's looking like they're going to be rebuilding. The younger guys start developing a little bit more because Obviously because the younger players on the team haven't had much experience in the league, especially with Malachi Flynn, with the bubble, with COVID and stuff. So this team in the future, it's going to be good within like the next 3 to 4 years, I want to say, with everyone being still very young, with OG Anunoby being 28 in 4 years, Chris Achua being 25, Scotty Barnes being 24, Kem Birch probably being one of the vets on the team, same thing with Siakam and Van Vliet. It's going to take some time for this team to develop because they still have a lot of young talent on this team, man. Quite honestly, we'll take a little bit of time for most of their players to develop because they're young, obviously. So if I'm the Raptors, I'm definitely trying to develop the players next season. Not really winning too much games, maybe sneaking for the play-in, but then probably be a first-round exit, kind of like an OKC type of situation last year where they had Chris Paul, they made the play-in, they made the playoffs, and then, lost in the first round. So if I'm the Raptors, if I'm Masai Ujiri, man, I'm definitely trying to probably tank in the next season. Nothing too amazing in terms of, winning, making the play-in. But if we do decide to make the play-in, then honestly, I wouldn't be too mad about it. Kind of like the Rockets in the sense where they have a really good young core. And honestly, they could make the play-in just depending on if they want to tank or if they want to make the play-in. Which honestly, for the Rockets, I'll just say this right now, but I definitely want them to make the play-in. But obviously, it's a Raptors video, so honestly, the Raptors, I definitely think they have a really good future. Adding in alongside Nick Nurse, who's a very great coach, probably one of the best coaches in the league. And then adding in Masai Ujiri, which honestly, he's probably one of my favorite GMs in the league right now. Besides, obviously, Daryl Morey, who obviously he's kind of snaked the Rockets, but it's kind of whatever. And then Raphael Stone, who's the Rockets GM right now. So the Raptors are definitely in a very good spot in terms of where they are right now. They also own their picks for the next few years. They own all of their first round picks until 2028. They also got a ton of second round picks, which aren't going to be too valuable, but kind of whatever here. But if they do decide to tank 2022, Chet Holmgren, if they get the first pick, Chet Holmgren would be an absolutely great addition to this team. And by great addition, I think it'd be one of the best additions to this team, to this very young team too, because Chet Holmgren, one of the youngest players in that draft class, I think he's 18. So Chet Holmgren, adding in his shot blocking ability, his offensive ability at the center position, will fill in the position instead of Kem Birch, have him come off the bench. And honestly, the Raptors would be flowing if they get a really good pick in the next few years. So depending on how the team pans out in the next few years, I definitely see them being in playoff contention within the next 3, maybe 2 to 3 years. 4 if you want to reach, but this team is very young, very great, very underrated overall, and quite honestly, I'm very excited to watch them play alongside my Rockets. So it's going to be a fun season for NBA fans with the Toronto Raptors on the rise, with a lot of really young pieces. It's going to be very fun to watch them too. So look out for Toronto. They definitely need some more respect on the name, man. Honestly, very excited to watch them ball out in the next season. So that's the video. My name is JDC. I'm signing out here. And if you guys like the video, drop a like and below, press that button, and I'm out. Peace.